All right, now everything is dry on my snowman, but my holly berries are actually not dry on the hat. So I'm going to continue and put the card together, but I'm going to be careful about that hat, or try. So for this particular one, in order to make this channel for the snowman hat to slide or spin or rock, I meant roll, I'm going to put 2 punches with my hole punch here, the same one that I used in the last card. I don't want to use my my circle die for this, only because I want this channel to be as small as possible. If you have a smaller circle die, this is about 1/2 inch, that's perfect and that will work, but you just don't want your channel to be too big. So what I'm going to do next is I'm taking a circle die just as a guide. You could also use a plate or a cup just to create an arc there. Now I'm not going to do this on the bottom because the arc tends to be different. So I'm not joining the bottom 2 because it gets a little bit wider, and I don't want my pennies to accidentally pop out. This is going to be a little bit on the wide side, and because the pennies are a little bit heavier, it might pop out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to visually put a little mark there where it's very similar, and then when I go and cut, I'm going to just even that out a little bit. You can also use your punches here that we've punched out and use that as a guide, so you know exactly how wide to create it so that it stays a consistent width. So put my die to the side. Easiest way to cut this is with an X-Acto knife. All right, so here's the X-Acto knife. I'm going to do the top curve first. Definitely make sure you're cutting this on a mat, because we wouldn't want to cut your work surface. All right, there, I want this to be just slightly bigger. I want it to have a visual look of being the consistent size. There we go. So now we can put our pennies there for our mechanism. And once again, if you don't have pennies, you can use a washer. Now, I'm using a little bit smaller circular foam pop dots for this. This one here, this one that I was using on the first card, it fits in this channel, but there's not a lot of wiggle room. So you're not going to get a whole lot of spin if it doesn't have the room to spin. So make sure that when you choose a foam pop dot size, you choose something that has the room to spin. So there we go. That there has the room to spin. Perfect. Now we're going to go to our back and we're going to add our foam tape to the back. And just like last time, I am going to pause the camera and complete it and then be back when I'm done. Now, same as last time, I'm going to do a double layer of the foam, and I want to make sure to support this channel so that the weight of the penny doesn't make that channel dip. I'll be back in a moment. All right, our adhesive is on the back here, double high, just like last time, to make sure that we have room for that penny to spin without hitting the back of the card. So I'm taking all these backings off. Once again, just like last time, I did a strip of the adhesive where I cut it in half so that you don't see the penny mechanism on the back there. There we go. Let's put it on our card front. Oop. There we go. Perfect. Test it, make sure that it spins. Oops, there we go. There we go. All right, now I'm going to glue down my snowman. And then I like to give the snowman something to sit on. So I've got a piece of white cardstock here that is the same width as my background. And I just like to tear it because I like it having a natural background. If you would prefer, you can absolutely cut it to give it more of an even looking hill. I like the tear line. I'm going to hold it down for a few seconds to let it sit and stick. While I'm holding it down with one hand, I'm going to take some stickles and just put a little bit of glitter on that hill. I might really be done with this one this time. I have a backup one right here. There we go. And I like to have the hill kind of go down a little bit, make it look a little bit of dimension there. There we go. And then last step is to glue on that hat. I'm going to do it upside down so I don't accidentally put my hand in where those stickles were. Same as last time, I'm going to put 2 little strips of adhesive there. And then I'm also going to use my Distress Collage medium to hold it in place. My glue is sticking up there, so it does need to be held down a little bit more. Now obviously this hat spins and moves, so it's not going to stay in the same place. But when I put it down, I like to have it, make sure that it does sit on the top of the snowman there. I'm going to leave that one. I'm not going to spin it just because that's still wet and that's still wet. But there we go. Such a cute way to have an interactive element with your card. Realized after I turned the camera off that I actually forgot to put the white cardstock in behind here to make this a little bit less noticeable. So if that happens, paint pen or white acrylic paint is a really good way to hide it a little bit. If you have some undo, you can take your card apart. Like I said before, this is still wet and my stickles are still wet, so I don't want to do that while anything is still wet. But the acrylic paint marker, or even just acrylic paint, is a good way to hide that a little bit better.